we have the capability to do your own custom modules. And if you build one, you can assign it to whatever students you want, so only those that you want will see it, but it turns into this fourth tab here. And you can build, multiple modules, and they'll each have their own tab. But it's another thing that you can brand, and you control all the messaging. You can upload a different logo or image here. This is just an example, but there are community colleges that will use this section as almost a kind of an onboarding with their career services. Join a student organization and they'll link to it, attend a career fair, internship fair, come to a resume workshop, a mock interview. If there are a handful of our videos that really align to some initiative that you're moving forward with, you can assign those videos as their very own task. Same with our situational judgment tests. But really anything you can imagine, you can assign, and you can push articles or files down to them. You can require that they write a reflection paper or they upload something to you as a proof of completion, or you can make these tasks as simple self-reports so they mark it as complete when they're done with it. But when you finish everything in this custom module, culminate into some type of badge or certificate, some type of digital credential. And I just clicked on a student profile. They can always click on the profile to see their progress and achievements along the way. So here we show what we call their core strengths, and that's from the initial personality test, right, that we reviewed all those reports in. Which skills does their personality align with? Again, kind of like that competency report that employers will look at. If they successfully pass any of our skill mastery tests, they're in that Get Job Ready tab. They earn a little badge for that. They do anything custom. Once they achieve it, that's also reflected in their profile, right? And you can control the value proposition of, whatever you've built and designed. So, and then you can see they can share these things individually, or they can share the entire profile. We've plumbed it into a couple social media outlets, but also they could just simply copy that link, paste it into an email or into some other social media outlet, and then whoever clicks on those shares sees a public-facing view of all of the achievements. So this value proposition message, if you do your own custom things, you can have it say its value or worth. Like, hey, to anyone interested, whoever holds this has done this or accomplished this, and that's why it might be valuable to you, right? So, and that's a complete view of the student experience. So I was going to jump over to the admin side now, unless any of you want me to look at something a little bit deeper again, or have some questions regarding this custom piece or any other part of the platform. Okay. So I'm going to log in to your Wake test. Right now, you won't see a lot in there, right? You'll see activity. The dashboard just gives you, basic activity. How many students have been added? Are they watching? Just that quick snapshot view. If you do something custom and they finish it, you're alerted here. I'll log into the admin side of another account that has a lot more populated. The students tab, they exist as part of groups. So here in the self-registered group, I think one of you even may have jumped on in the meantime during the call. There's the test account I had just created, and then Lawrence, it looks like you hopped on, or someone has since this account was created a little while ago. Lynn, I know we sent it to you within the last few weeks. But so this self-registered group, and then it turns into the all students group as well. Those are the people that, again, if you leave this unlocked, that register button is here. So anyone who clicks there and signs up themselves will be in the self-registered group. Also, you can organize students any way you want. So if it's by campus, if it's by program in a campus, or just some cohort that you have, some summer initiative, you can give it a title, right? and then a description, so when other administrators are here in the system, they can see what you meant, and then you create it. Let me jump over into a different admin account so I can show you what that's like when it's heavily populated. I'll kind of show you the account we were just in, because it's better to see it in the context of actual results. So again, a dashboard, right? Basic activity. If someone has a module that you've done, you view that. If they've attached anything as a proof of completion, if you've required it, it'll show up here in this column. If something doesn't look right, you can kick that back to them and send a message on why, and it'll show up in their system again. If you approve it, that's what causes it to show up in their profile, right? Populate that profile we were just looking at. So again, the students exist as part of groups, which are different. They organize them really in. If you really want to brand this programs, we can even the portal for you to where if each their own, and then the Wake Tech main account can be the parent account of all those others. But my point is, we're flexible. So if there's a special way you want to organize your students, but once these groups are created, you click into that group. You click add students. So this is the way, instead of the self-registered, you can control their access. If you kind of have a walk-in or someone that you think would be a particularly good fit, you just enter their first name, last name, and email. They'll immediately get a notification saying, hey, you've been given access to this system. Click here. And they simply create a password at that point, and they can jump right in and see everything that you were looking at before on the student side. You can also upload a file. It will support 500 records at a time, but you can have 1,000 in there. It's just you would have to, if you had 1,000 students in a file that you wanted to give access, you would have to break that into 2 uploads. But the second, again, that you click upload, every single student, and it's just first name, last name, and email, they all get a notification saying they've been given access to the system. They're all given a personal link, but it takes them to create their own password, and then they're left at the basic sign-in URL that we were looking at before. Now, if you decide how you want to organize certain students after the fact, because you can also report on students by group or as individuals, you can still create a new group and add students to it, and if they exist somewhere else in the system, they can be part of more than one group and just show up there. And if a handful of those that you added have never accessed the system, they get the email invite. So it's really easy to use either way. But let me pause there. Are there any questions so far about the basic dashboard or how students can access the system?
Well, Maury, it's Lynn, and I know we have to come up with some sort of game plan in terms of how the students register, because we have 1,000 spots, right? Or
right.
Students whatever you call them. I'm wondering, can we narrow it down and make them use their Wake Tech email accounts? Is that possible?
Yeah, so if you go to settings, that's a great question. Now, the only thing I'm worried about, so domain restriction right there, and it could be, waketech.edu, right? Mm-hmm. Now, it only supports one. So we did run into a school that had switched emails. So like their juniors and seniors were on an old domain, mm-hmm. and then their freshmen and sophomores were on a new one. And so we're working on that behind the scenes to get that restriction to allow multiple and restrict it to those. But we're still working through that. Do you have that type of situation, or will all students have the same kind of suffix domain?
They have the same. It's my.waketech.edu, so I think that's probably something we'll have to consider. And we can just stick it in there, right? We can just do that whenever we want today if we want.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And that self-register button, if you want to hide it to where they can't even see it to opt in themselves, you just simply click no right there and save it, right? So the settings are that easy. As you can see, here's where the custom welcome message is. It's a rich text field. You guys can make that your own and brand it multiple images any way you want. while I'm here, the other settings available to you, you mentioned the Focus 2. And it's a great product. We had our kind of career interest fit tab. If you didn't like that at all, you could hide it to where the students, it wouldn't even show up. Or if you do like it, but it has some occupations in there that don't relate to any of your programs at all, you can just uncheck those and they don't show up in the results at all. This is the field where you would enter, the custom URL. Like, so if you have any training or programs that would lead eventually to being an accountant, you can enter that URL here, and that's what creates that second link, right, that I was showing you earlier on the student side. As of October 8th, you could even hide the levels. Like if you didn't want them to see the videos at all, right, you could just hide those. But I know you really like the videos, but
right.
So there's just a lot of flexibility and settings to, yes, you can cater and make it all your own.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep. Administrators, you can add, I'll go to your account really quick. So the settings are all very generic right now because it's a brand new account. Lynn, I believe there's a few of you who have been added, and well, a few of us internally who will be helping you through this process, but Lynn and Laura, but either of you can go in and add new administrators as needed, or you can send us a list and we can help you there. We're working on this interface. We have a few default roles where you can restrict some permissions, but eventually here by the end of the year, we want to get to where it's just literally a matrix where when you add an admin, you just check the box by everything you want them to do. You leave unchecked what you don't want them to be able to access, but we kind of have some default roles that manage that a little bit, and it explains what those are and what permissions they have. So we can go through that in more of a training, or like I said, if you send us a list, or if you do want some people with very limited access, we can talk through that and make sure that one of the current roles accommodates it, or that we build that into the system quickly. One of my favorite things that I definitely want to show you before we end is the reporting dashboard, right? And again, we can see basic activity. Each one of these interfaces or consoles has an export feature where you can download this into a spreadsheet and see it, slice and dice it any way that you want. You can look at groups or the students as a whole, but whether it's the videos, the skill mastery test, if you've done your own custom awards, how they're progressing through those, the strengths fit. This is the best view to give you an idea, but you can choose a view or all students, and it will bring up where you can see them as an aggregate, right? And you can see those trends. Typically, do our students score really high in one of these competencies? If one of the competencies is particularly important, you can click that, and all of a sudden it will filter the results, highest to lowest, or however you want to look at it, by competency. Or, as I was showing you that model before, that some schools, or if you have an organization that says, hey, we heard about that soft skill program and we really like it, here are the skills that are most important to us. And then I'll show you, we have a tool that will help you survey your partner employers launching soon. And they give you the 6 or 7 that are important to them. You can just filter the results and only check on those that you want to look at, and then it's only going to show those, right? And then we're building in the capability probably by November, where November 19th, I believe, is that software release, where it will reorder the students as far as who scored the highest across those 6 or 7 that you left checked. Okay, so just great reporting analytics. But whether it's the personality report and you want to see, how students are leaning, the culture fit report again, do they tend, are there trends that you can notice there? Do you want to see things in the aggregate? But anytime you can drill into a student's personal details, or when you're on the students tab, instead of digging into whichever group you think they're in, you can type in their name and then see their individual results. So when you talked about one-on-one coaching earlier, especially if it's with online students and you're on the phone, right? The administrator can see the results just like they can see it, so you can kind of click through those screens with them. If you click on view transcript, that's what shows their profile. So if they wanted to share their profile on social media or send it in an email, this gives you the view of what that public-facing view looks like. So whoever clicks on those shares, they see something more like this. If you remember, the student profile also has the things they haven't passed yet kind of grayed out, where this just has everything that they've achieved. Okay, but that's what it looks like to the public when they click on that view. So we wanted to give you as the administrators. But we show some of the basic activity, again, if they answered those reflection statements, which groups that student's in, etc. And we continue to improve this dashboard. If you've done your own custom awards, what have they finished? What didn't they do? Have they uploaded the file to you, etc.? Which videos have they watched and successfully completed? And then again, those skill mastery tests and that Get Job Ready level, how many times have they taken it? Have they passed it? Have they failed it? Is it in progress? Etc. So great reporting analytics, either by the individual or, with the grade or data as an app. Any questions there? So the last thing I was going to show you were those custom awards. Now, Ivy Tech Community College is using to just repurpose or kind of reorder our videos and skill mastery tests in the order and organizing them into like 4 mini modules and kind of aligning them to the NACE career competency model. And they call it their Workforce Excellence Program. But as I showed you, you can assign any activity that you want, right? So Purdue, in their Krannert School of Business, they've created a series of leadership certificates where it's not just our videos and tests, it's become a mentor, watch this TED Talk, right? Read this article on leadership. And the more that they do, earn like a bronze through a platinum credential in each year of their undergrad program. So it's just whatever your mind can come up with. If you want a place to track and measure it and then have it culminate in a badge or a certificate, you can do that. But it's really easy. You add the award, you give it its instructions, you can add your logo here, you give it the title, just all these fields that you want students to see. And then once that is created, it just lets you build out tasks. Now, you can see a basic activity dashboard once you have students assigned to it, but you add tasks out the way you want. If it's one of our videos, that's a multimedia, and it will let you choose from that list. Same thing with the test, but if it's an event, it's going to give you, hey, when is it, where is it, and you can have due dates for you. If you want them to attach a file completion, you just check the button. But once you have those all built out the way you want, then you just add a group. So whatever student groups that you want to get assigned that to see it when they log in, you would just choose that group, and it's going to say, okay, here's everyone in it. Are you sure that's who you want? And the second that you click add group, the students will get an email. You had some new assigned to you in your, in my Job Ready system, and the next time they log in, they see, the tabs, this additional tab titled whatever you titled that award. So I know we're right at the end of the hour, Lynn. I don't know if your team had scheduled more time. I had scheduled more time in case, but I wanted to kind of stop there. That's a good review of, everything it has. So anything else would just be a deeper dive according to your preferences or, any additional training that you want on something specific.
That sounds great, Maury. I think it's been a great introduction, and most of my team has no clue what we're even talking about. So this is excellent. So we'll give them time to sort of digest this, and if they have questions, I can certainly follow up with you, and we can talk about a few of the things that came up today, how we're going to manage that.
Absolutely. Now, you have the type of student volume to where if this grows in popularity and you really like it, you're going to be pushing those 1,000 licenses. Now, number one, obviously we're happy to extend that, and we'll give you that anytime within the 6 months. If you want to expand it within that 6 month period, we would give you kind of the same rate, right? But also any of your